competitive communicators that are where you only compete against yourself. We'll take a brief moment and go around the room and introduce each other. I will start with Kanan. Kanan, would you take a moment and introduce yourself, where you live in the world, and something that you are thankful for, since we're nearing Thanksgiving here in the United States is a time where we reflect about things that we're thankful for.
I am Kanan Shankara. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I am thankful to my son for introducing me to the Toastmasters, because through Toastmasters, I gained many friends all over the world, including our President, Tricia. Thank you. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Gerard.
That's better, right? Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Gerard here. I'm presently in South Florida, a state park. So I am very grateful that it's about 78 degrees right now. And that's it. That's all it takes for me. I'm easy. Thank you.
I'm very jealous. And a returning guest, Lily, would you please take a moment and introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Willie. I'm from Singapore and I'm the incoming club president, Chartered Club of Singapore Online, first English Toastmaster Club, and also a physical club president at BPE, and District 80 PR team for Facebook. Okay. Tricia, what is your question just now about?
What are you thankful for?
I am thankful for Toastmaster for changing my life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And another returning guest, Sandra.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sandra, and I am in Manitoba, Canada. What am I thankful for? I am thankful for life. I am thankful for connection through Toastmasters. I'm thankful for you all.
Thank you very much, Sandra. And we're thankful that you keep returning to visit our club. And I believe that you are intending to join us soon. Thank you very much. Next, Isabel.
Hi, everyone. I'm Isabel from Ellicott City, Maryland. I am thankful for everything, every great thing in life. Right now, I have a small thing to be thankful for. Because today my dog, he's engaged in some self-play with his toys, so he's not bothering me. That's a good thing. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And I see we have another guest, Jason. I believe he is from the Bullies Online Club. And your face seems familiar. Could you take a moment, Jason, and introduce yourself? Jason, would you like? Yes, hi.
Jason, right now I'm in Busan, which is in the southern part of China. I want to thank Aaron Leung because he introduced me this online master club. Thank you, Aaron. And thank you for meeting all you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kim Mitchell.
Hi, yes, my name is Kim Mitchell. I'm here in the wonderful and Webb City, Missouri, and it is cold here. Last time I checked, it was 21 degrees, and it's just going to get colder. This California girl loves the warm, and I am in the wrong state for that. But I am thankful that I have a wonderful husband who is very kind and generous. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And speaking of such a wonderful husband, your husband, Chris, would you take a moment and introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, Madam President. My name is Chris Mitchell. I'm also in Missouri, literally probably about 15 feet away from Kimberly. It is actually 23 degrees Fahrenheit here, which is 9 degrees Celsius. So yes, it's very cold. Whoever has 78 degrees, send that with her our way. I am thankful for two things. One, for my faith. And my second thing I'm thankful for is 5 weeks ago today, I tried to do something nice for my wife and move a garbage can out of the way of the driveway. I took a very serious fall. I'm thankful that my wife has been there to take time off work, to take me to doctor's appointments, physical therapy, and to take care of me. I lost so much ability of mobility for a while that she had to almost literally carry me into certain rooms of our house. She's been very wonderful and supportive and not complained about it at all. I love her very dearly, and I'm very thankful that God put her in my life. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Adrian.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I'm Adrian, coming to you live in Arizona, so I won't boast about what the temperatures are here. Not only am I thankful for the sunshine, I'm also thankful for the ability to laugh as well as my good health. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Mike Zong.
Hello, everybody, Toastmasters and guests. I haven't been to the meeting for, I think, for 3 weeks. And I'm really glad to be back because I was dealing with some medical issues, and now I'm grateful that those things have been figured out, and I can live a more fulfilling life, I guess. And I'm also grateful for Toastmasters and how Toastmasters has worked wonders in my life. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you. It might be the first time I've been called a mister, but that's all right. And our wonderful Sergeant of Arms, Sunny.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. I know I was a little bit off balance a little while ago, but I have to say I am thankful that I had such a wonderful ophthalmologist who performed laser-assisted cataract surgery on my right eye and is allowing me to see so much better just in one day. So I'm very blessed about that. It's funny how you take things for granted, but I am truly thankful. And I just wanted to share that. Now back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And Mike Thorne.
Greetings, folks. I'm here in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I'm thankful for global warming.
Okay. Harry, would you like to take a moment and introduce yourself?
Harry Johns from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm thankful that Donald Trump was elected. A guy that I definitely was against times, but this guy is doing everything wrong. I mean, by Toastmaster standards, he would be up for a minus DTM. But the guy is so effective. He goes out and he speaks like a champion. And he's got the audience like I've never seen other presidents get them. This guy is terrific. I can't hardly speak. He's so great. I am really thankful that he's there. And I'm glad that the Democrats have such a pathetic field. Now we've got him for another 4 years, his son for 8, and his daughter for 8. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Harry. And is it Sharia? Gupta? She might not be on the mic. Angela Lee, would you like to take a moment and introduce yourself?
Hi, Trisha.
Hey, Dora.
Hi, everyone. I'm right now on the bus, so sorry I'm not able to open my video. I'm Dora from Guangzhou, China. Yeah. The thing I'm grateful about is the beautiful weather we have here. It's now autumn, and I'm still wearing a short t-shirt, short skirt. It's nice weather. It always wants me to go out to the mountains and to go hiking. Okay, thank you. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And I see our friend Rainey is here. Rainey, would you like to take a moment and introduce yourself?
Hello guys, I'm Rainy and I'm sorry I can't open my video either because I am waiting for my train. And I think the thing that I'm grateful is that now I am able to be with my family and I can make enough money to afford our living. So that's the thing that I'm grateful. Also, I'm grateful that I am one of the member of this wonderful club. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And of course, Rolando.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rolando. I'm in Palm Beach, Florida. I'm grateful for being in Florida. Nice warm weather on the winter time. I'm grateful for being healthy and grateful for family. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. I see a couple more guests I'm going to attempt to call on. Twinkle Marsa, would you like to take a moment and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Madam President and fellow Toastmasters. My name is Twinkle Misra. I'm from Palatine, Illinois, so Chicago area. As you can see, I'm in a heavy coat right now. It's 13 degrees outside, and I'm in my car. So I'm grateful that I'm in my car. I can drive, and again, it's all happy and healthy here. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. Welcome. And Kathy Jiang?
Hi everyone, my name is Kathy. I'm here in Hong Kong, and good morning everyone here. I don't know what time it is over on your side, but here is in the morning, and what I'm grateful for is that I have a lot of good friends around. You know what happened in Hong Kong right now, right? So
Yes, we have many people from around the world, so something we say often is good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So that covers everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Yes.
And I'm not sure if Erin is actually here. Would you like to take a moment and introduce yourself, Erin? Our Vice President of Education. He's doing other things. Well, I will introduce myself very shortly. I'm Trisha Grow. I'm your president of this club. I live in the United States in Pennsylvania. It's also very cold here. It was snow flurrying earlier today. It wasn't accumulation or anything. It just was really pretty as I was driving home. I was like, oh, snow. Yay. Not. Anyway. I do have a quick announcement before I turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster today. We do have a special guest, Erin Beverly, who's actually a co-district friend of mine. I am also in the same district as he is. However, his train that he was on has been delayed. So he will definitely be late and possibly not be able to join us at all. But we're going to go ahead and move on with our meeting. We will have table topics, and hopefully he will be joining us and giving us a small glimpse into his presentation, which we will obviously offer him to come back another time, because we all know that life happens and we are not in control of things. This is outside of anyone's control, and we will just move on with what we can. So at this time, it is my great honor and privilege to introduce our Toastmaster today, who I am pleased to say is a very good friend of mine. I got to meet her in person, and she's just as lovely in person as she is online. and that is Sunny Fritz.
Hi.
Sunny.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello again, fellow Toastmasters. As I said, I am Sunny, but I'm not trying to throw you shade, but I did have cataract surgery, and I've actually gotten some interesting comments about others who have had cataract surgery, so I have to be mindful that I definitely still need to be careful in the next few days since I just had my surgery yesterday. That said, this is a wonderful day to see and to be a Toastmaster. And today we will go on, the show must go on, and we're going to start with table topics in just a few moments. But first, we need inspiration. And who better to get it from than fellow Toastmaster Isabel Kadori. Isabel?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Tell a story and make a point. One of the most important skills in public speaking is storytelling, preferably telling your own personal stories. I read an online article by Fred Miller. He said, one of the keys to accumulating your own stories is to be, as they say in yoga, always present and in the moment. When those stories occur in real time, capture them and put them into the hard drive of your brain so you can retrieve them when you need to reinforce a point of your story, your message. It really echoes with today's workshop. Stories are everywhere. I hope to learn from Mr. Aaron Beverly how to extract quality stories from everyday life. If not this time, maybe next time. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Kadori, for that very good word of inspiration. And yes, stories are everywhere. And as I mentioned earlier, Aaron Beverly says he is on his way and he is hoping to be here in about 20 minutes or so. And so we will keep going until he gets here. And a Toastmaster meeting is typically divided into 3 parts. However, today we're going to focus on table topics until our guest of honor gets here. So we also still need helpers. And so we do have a timer. So Mr. Timer, will you tell us your role?
Important person here. I'm in charge of keeping everybody on schedule. So all the table topics will be 1 to 2 minutes in length. In 1 minute, I'll show you my green card. In a minute and a half, I'll show you my yellow card. And in 2 minutes, I'll show you my red card. And you have 30 seconds to go beyond that, at which time, if you exceed it, the attack of rabid weasels will attack you. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mike Thorne, for those words of warning. We will be careful and mindful of the time. Next, because we are having a workshop, we're going to need a question master. So we're going to stay optimistic. That's the word of the day, as a matter of fact, optimistic. And our question master is our president, Tricia Grow, here to explain how we will operate once Aaron Beverly gets here.
Yes, thank you very much. Once Aaron is here and giving his presentation, if you have thoughts or questions that you would like to ask him, please type it either in the main chat or message me privately your question. And when it becomes that time in the meeting, I will select questions that you have asked and ask Aaron to expound on that question.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. No. Well, yes, you are Table Topics Master as well. You're doing triple duty again. What did I tell you about that? But thank you so much for taking the lead, because you are our leader. So Tricia Grow, you're going to be the Table Topics Master. So go ahead and explain.
Well, table topics, for those who may not have been to a Toastmasters meeting before, is impromptu speaking. Normally there's 3 sections to a meeting: prepared speakers, impromptu speaking, and then evaluations. So table topics is your opportunity to speak. If you're not already selected to be a speaking role, you most likely will get called upon to do table topics. And since our guest speaker isn't here, that means everyone in the room But it is it's an exercise, a mental exercise that helps you think quickly on your feet and organize your thoughts in a very short period of time. Our timer will give you timing at 1 minute. You'll see green. That means you've met the minimum required time. At 1.5 yellow, that means you're halfway done with your time. And at 2 minutes, you'll see the red card, which means you are done. Please wrap up, and you'll have 30 seconds to do so. Tonight, most of the questions are hopefully going to be helping you think of reasons that you're thankful. Why are you thankful? What are you thankful for? And maybe help you find things in your life to be thankful for. So sometimes we all have one of those days where it's dreary and dark and cold. So find something to be thankful for. So hopefully this exercise will help you do that. My first question will be, what is your worst holiday cooking disaster? I would like to ask Rolando, what is your worst holiday cooking disaster?
Big Master, thank you for this question. Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. My worst holiday cooking disaster. I cannot think of a worse cooking holiday disaster because every holiday, most of the holidays, I will either go over my mom's house or go over my brother's house. And you know mom's cooking is the best. So whenever I'm on mom lazy holidays, it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, or 4th of July, we all will, all my brothers and my sisters, families will go over my mom and spend time with her. And she makes sure she cooks the best. And she cooks everything for us because she knows her kids are coming. So that's why we cherish family time. We cherish Thanksgiving time and times that we spend together. So we know we're gonna get together and talk, enjoy talking to each other, enjoy life, and share ideas, share our lives, and spend time together and encourage each other. And that's what family is about. So I always enjoy going to the holidays because I always spend time with family and I enjoy the meals. Back to you, Madam Table Masters.
Thank you very much. My next question will be, what is the weirdest side dish you have ever had at a holiday meal? Twinkle, would you like to participate? I think she might be driving. I forget. Oh no, here she is.
Yeah. So Madam Table Topics, so what is your weirdest side dish that have been ever served in the holiday meal? Is that the question?
Yes.
Well, so talking about side dish, so we celebrate Thanksgiving with Indian meals. So I'm an Indian and we cook a lot of vegetarian meals. So I remember we went to this festive occasion of Thanksgiving with some of our colleagues at work, and it was a classic Thanksgiving dinner with turkey and mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce and all sorts of desserts. And not knowing the tradition from my side, we brought up the chicken samosas, which was everybody adored it, but it just didn't got well with the rest of the dishes that were served over there. Um, uh, at the same time, I still remember the memories of that dinner because of the special occasion, how it was served, and I was able to contribute and learn more about the tradition. from our standpoint and from their standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, my next question will be, oh, okay. In the United States, there are two types of pies that are normally served at Thanksgiving, and this causes family feuds, believe it or not. They're apple or pumpkin. Those are the two types of pies in America that we fight over every Thanksgiving, which one we will have. Does your family have this problem or something similar when it comes to a holiday meal? Cannon. Kanan? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was not paying attention. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yes, that's okay. So in the United States where we live,
Yep.
in Thanksgiving, we fight over two different types of pies.
Okay.
Apple
Okay.
or pumpkin.
Okay.
In your family, do you fight over a certain dish on your Thanksgiving or holiday meals?
Okay. I would answer this question in a different way. If there are two types of food that has been served instead of the other, I don't care, because I am on the eating side. I am not on the cooking side. Whatever has been cooked, whatever has been served, I will eat it very happily. My son also will eat it very happily, because I will tell you, I have been pampered by two women in my entire life. First 20-25 years by my mom, and then my wife took over. She cooks different food on different days. So even Thanksgiving, we try out different dishes, vegetarian dishes. Every time it was different. We do not have any particular food. So I understand. I have taken apple pie also. I have taken pumpkin pie also. Normally we use pumpkin soup and other things, whatever we bought it for the Halloween, but not for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, it may be too old, so we may be buying some cakes and other things, but we cook different food, so I do not have any complaint. Thank you. Back to you, Madam President and Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much. My next question is, what is your favorite part of the holiday? What's your favorite part? What do you look forward to the most on your next holiday? Angela Lee, would you like to participate? I can't hear you. All right, we still can't hear you. We'll try and come back to you later. But Adrian, would you like to try to answer this question?
I would be glad to, Madam President and Madam Table Topics Master. My favorite part that I look forward to at a holiday would be gathering together at the table and eating. And it's not so much the eating part, it's more the gathering at the table part, because we are so guilty of not eating at a table. It's so natural for us. We don't eat at a table. I like to eat at a table. I just don't more often than not. I'm getting back into the habit of it. But sitting down and being together at a table over a meal is just something that kindles my spirit. I'm so optimistic that we as in my immediate family and myself, can continue practicing sitting at the table. And it's a nice reminder of how nice it is to sit at the table together. In addition to that, I also look forward to the music. You know, when you sit down and you're sitting all together and there's kind of that nice background music, I look forward to that as well. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much. My next question will be, what gift, whether it was a holiday gift, a birthday gift, what gift have you ever given to someone that was small but meant a lot? What gift have you given to someone that might have been small but meant a lot to the person you gave it to? I would like to ask Harry. Harry, would you like this question?
I was in pain trying to think of a small gift. I got a gift once that was small, and it was a wedding ring. But I know you're looking for a real gift, and I really am stuck because I'm not a gift giver. And fortunately for society, I am not a receiver of gifts. So I got to resign from this question, take my punishment, and beat myself up when I'm not in front of other people. I yield my time, Madam Tabletop Master.
All right, thank you very much, Harry. The next question is, when's the last time you did something for someone else without expecting any thanks in return? When's the last time you did something for someone else without expecting anything in return? Sandra.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. That is actually a very easy question to answer. As I've mentioned before, I moved to Manitoba from Ontario, Canada, earlier this year, and it was a huge move for me. When I moved into my home, everything, I mean everything that could go wrong went. The only thing I had control over was my garden. And I planted like it was going out of style. The first time I've had a garden, mind you. So every vegetable that I was introduced to, I planted it. And I had a plethora, and I mean a plethora of lettuce, zucchini, you name it, the ground just produced it. And what I did, I went to my neighbors and I'd knock on their door. Hi, my name is Sandra. I moved into the house next door. Can I give you some lettuce? I go to Toastmasters meetings, and when we break, oh guys, there's produce on the table. So the zucchini, the tomatoes, and it was just a joy to see others enjoying the fruits of my labor. It was a joy to be able to do that and just share the bounty of the earth. Madam Toastmaster, Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. About 2 years ago, we added some mushroom soil to our garden, and oh my goodness, it like was exploding vegetables right and left. And I was asking my neighbors to please take some of the produce off our hands. So I'm sure it was quite a blessing to everyone that got that fresh produce. All right, well, I see that we haven't received our special guest yet, so we will continue with table topics. Okay, my next question is, would you rather have less work or more work that you actually enjoy doing? Would you prefer less work or more work that you actually enjoy doing? I would like to invite, let's see, someone that hasn't spoken lately. Willie.
Yeah. What is the question again? Sorry.
Would you rather have less work or more work that you enjoy doing?
Madam President, fellow Toastmaster and guests, it doesn't matter whether more work or less work. I still prefer that we have this to do every day. Sometimes your trade of work, you do not need to be there 9 to 6 p.m. You need to be there for just 3 to 4 hours. But most of the time, we are asked to go to work for 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And sometimes we got nothing to do. So regardless of what, but employer prefer us to have more work so that they can see the value we have. But we human beings can only work up to 5 hours a day, not 8 hours. 8 hours is because business reason. But I prefer to work just 5 hours a day. Rather than having, regardless whether we are having more work or less work, but my working hours is only just for 5 hours a day out of 24 hours, not the. So in conclusion, it's up to individual to say more work or less work, but employer want us to work at least 8 hours or more to make us affordable to them. But human beings like to only work 5 hours. That's why you can see a lot of entrepreneurs up there in the market. Thank you, Madam President. Over back to you.
Thank you very much. My next question will be, they say we learn from mistakes. So why are we so afraid to make them? Gerard.
Okay, take two. Thank you, Table Topics. I think the reason we're so afraid of doing it because we're worried about rejection, and rejection means death in the old days if we were kicked out of the tribe or whatnot. So it's in our DNA and it's just inherent in us. I did two things that definitely helped me. Now today, when I start getting a little bit nervous, I realized I'm probably pushing my limits, and that's a good thing. So it took me a long time to realize a little anxiety is actually a good thing. As far as making mistakes, one of the best advice I ever received was, for myself, I used to beat myself up. If I made a mistake, I would say, how can you be such a jerk? You're stupid, this and that, and carry on. And it was told to me to, next time I do that, listen to where the voice is coming, and then actually change that voice to a silly voice. I think I've actually said this on here before. And I used Jessica Rabbit to do it. And in a sexy voice, she would say, you bad boy, you deserve a spanking. And I laughed the first time, and after like 3 days, I stopped beating myself up for making mistakes. So today when I make a mistake, I have a 90-second rule. I'll look at it and I'll see for 90 seconds what part I played in it, and if I could have done something differently, how I would do that next time. And fortunately, I got a bunch of issues, but beating myself now and worried about making mistakes is not one of them. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you very much, Gerard. I appreciate that insight. And I had her voice in my head when you were telling me.
It worked. It worked.
So thank you very much. Did you want me to continue, Sunny, or do you want to?
I'll go ahead and start.
Okay, I'm going to turn the lectern back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Madam Table Topics President and Introducer. And I am going to share my screen. Let me I see cancel the spotlight video. That might help, right, Gerard? Okay, let's try it again. Well, Madam President, I'm going to need you for 1 minute while, I know I found it. I think I did find it. I just found the PowerPoint. Yes, I did. Okay. So I'm going to do a quick introduction of our guest so that when he does get on, we really won't have to go through that. Basically, our guest is a storyteller, keynote speaker, trainer, and world traveler. He recently added world champion to this list. In August, Aaron Beverly won the 2019 Toastmasters International World Championship of Public Speaking. To achieve this, Aaron had to rise above 30,000 participants from 143 countries over 6 months. And the championship was held at the Gaylord Rockies Resort and Convention Center near Denver, Colorado, during the 88th Toastmasters International Convention. His speech was entitled An Unbelievable Story. Aaron provided a humorous take on the heavy subject of race and the importance of acceptance despite difference. While we are waiting for Aaron, I am going to play.
It feels surreal. I'm at a loss for words, and this is amazing coming from a Toastmaster. We're not supposed to be lost for words, but here I am. But it's an amazing experience, and I'm filled with gratitude for all the people who've helped me. For anyone who's thinking about competing, compete. Even if you don't think you have what it takes, I have word for you. You do. This entire contest experience is about growth, and you grow over the years. This has taken me about 7 years to get to. And every year I've gotten better and better and better because I made the conscious decision to just compete. So compete.
Okay. And then the final video I will play is this, which is his speech.
Aaron Beverly, an unbelievable story. An unbelievable story, Aaron Beverly.
The contest chair was relieved. My title is only 3 words long. But friends, why is this story unbelievable? June 2018, I fly to India to attend the wedding of my friend Brandon and his fiancée, Devika. Brandon and family are white, Devika and family are Indian, and I am the only black man there. I can't help but feel different. But I try my best to blend in. I buy formal Indian wedding attire. What do you think? I even participate in a sacred Indian wedding ritual, protecting the groom's shoes. During the car ride to the wedding, my friend Sunit explains this ritual. When Brandon takes off his shoes during the ceremony, Devika's bridesmaids will try to steal them. The groomsmen protect the shoes from the bridesmaids. If they win, they hold the shoes ransom, forcing Brandon to buy them back. It's a game, Sunit says. I think it sounds like a spy movie. Sunit says, Aaron, the bridesmaids will try sweet talk, they will try deception, but don't give the shoes to anybody. Will you accept this mission? Quick fact about me. When I am given a mission, I take it very seriously. I look at Sunit and I say, I accept the mission. At the wedding ceremony, Brandon takes off his shoes. I swoop in, grab the shoes, sit down in the front row. Smooth, stealthy. I feel like a black James Bond. The leader of the bridesmaids walks over. She smiles at me. But gentlemen, Have you ever seen a girlfriend or wife smile, yet at the same time, you just felt scared? I call her the ominous smiler. She says, Aaron, you look very handsome today. I say, thank you. Could you pass me Brandon's shoes? No. Sunit said the bridesmaids will try sweet talk. Don't give the shoes to anybody. But Aaron, she says, that's against Indian tradition. When I hear that, the global ambassador within me gets nervous. I don't want to cause an international incident over a pair of shoes. I can see the headlines. Idiot ruins wedding and India-US relations. I almost hand over the shoes, but remember Sunit. They will try deception. Don't give the shoes to anybody. I say no again. Then the ominous smiler, she moves closer. She says, and I quote, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. But you will give us the shoes. I am now scared for my life at this wedding. However, I must protect the shoes because when I have a mission, I take it very seriously. So I curl over in my seat, I press the shoes against my chest, and this is how I watch the wedding for the next 30 minutes. The ominous smiler tries to steal the shoes, but I hold firm. Then she disappears for 20 minutes before taking a seat to my right. She says, Aaron, I don't care about the shoes anymore. You win. I say, do I look like a fool to you? But she doesn't move. I think I won. Sunit runs over. He's ecstatic. He says, Aaron, I'm proud of you. I say, thank you. You took this mission very seriously. I say, that's right. Now, give the shoes to me. No. Sunit said, don't give the shoes to anybody. The ominous smiler disappeared to recruit backup, and I know a traitor when I see one. Then the ominous smiler pounces. She starts pulling my arm. Sunit joins her. 2 versus 1. They pull, I pull, but I hold firm. The other bridesmaids run over. 5 versus 1. They pull, I pull, but I hold firm. The other groomsmen run over. I think, yes, the cavalry has arrived. But they joined the bridesmaids. 8 versus 1. They pull, I pull, but I hold firm because when I have a mission, I take it very seriously. They said, Aaron, just give us the shoes. I said, never! Keep in mind, the wedding is still going on. Devika's family is watching the ceremony as if nothing else is happening. I start wondering, is this normal? Then the ominous smiler signals the wedding photographer. And this dude is huge. He puts down his camera. Then he starts charging. He jumps on top of me. 9 versus 1. They pull, I pull, but I lost the shoes. Brandon paid 10 times what those shoes were worth. But what makes this story unbelievable is not the shoes, nor the events. It is the context behind that game. That game is designed for the families of the bride and groom to get to know each other, which means that among white and Indian families, a different, lonely black man was accepted like family too. We experience so much divisiveness nowadays that acceptance despite difference seems unbelievable. But there are people who still believe in it. Do you? Open your culture, your mind, your heart to people who are different from you. Show the world that acceptance, despite difference, is not an unbelievable story. This is your mission. take it very seriously. Contest chair.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for being optimistic. Without further ado, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, I give you our guest speaker of the half hour, Aaron Beverly. Let's give him a wave of support. Aaron, you're on. Take the stage.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I apologize for my tardiness, but sometimes the train schedules and the trains themselves have other plans. But since I'm on, we're just going to go ahead and get started. The topic for today is stories are everywhere. People come up to me sometimes and they ask me, Aaron, how do you create your stories? How can you find the right story? How can you find that great story that you can use for a speech contest, a world championship? And I always think to myself, the stories that you are looking for are everywhere around us. If we simply change our perspective and start dispelling some of the myths that we have around storytelling, you will find that not only can you find stories everywhere, but you can also overcome the greatest myth of all, the myth that I am not a good storyteller. Everyone in the world, I believe, has a quality story within them. Again, it's just a matter of perspective. Let's take the speech that I gave at the 2019 World Championship of Public Speaking. That was about an Indian wedding that I attended in 2018. People who are Indian come up to me and they say, Aaron, I cannot believe that you were able to take such a common event and make that into a championship story. And this leads me to the first myth that I want to debunk. This myth is that stories need to be absolutely grand in order for you to think that they're worthy of being shared. If you take your common events day to day and you change the perspective, all of a sudden you have a much stronger, more in-depth and quality story. Now, when I created my speech, what made it different, what changed the perspective, was me experiencing that wedding as a Black man, as a person outside of India who had never experienced that before. And I'm showing you through my speech, my experience in that wedding. So that was the perspective. I'm not necessarily talking just about the Indian wedding. I'm talking about my experience in the Indian wedding and my confusion and I'm trying to find the right word. So yeah, my confusion, my drama, and that is the perspective that I am taking you through. So what I want you to do, if you have a pen and paper nearby, I want you to do certain activities as I go along in this presentation. And the first thing that I want you to write, don't think too hard about it. Write the first thing that comes to mind, a life event that happened to you in any time, it doesn't matter. I want you to write down 3 of these. Right now, I'll give you 20 seconds, starting now. 3 things, anything that you can think of. Don't need to write entire sentences. It can just be a single word. Okay. Now, when you experience these different things, I want you to write about emotions that are tied to these. So for
the three stories or the three potential stories that you just listed, write 3 emotions that you had within that story. So by the end, I'm sorry, and I'll give you another 20 seconds. So you should have 9 in all, 9 emotions. Okay. Now, when we are trying to change our perspective, the emotions are emotions are the key. These are the keys to our perspectives. So going into my 2018 speech again, that story about the Indian wedding, I was confused, I was scared, I was resistant. So all of these and more are the different perspectives that I was taking you through. So whenever you are going through your stories, take us through your perspective, change the perspective. So you could have an experience of going to the grocery store, but what about going to the grocery store made you feel those different emotions? So this is how you start to develop a story and start to establish your perspective in a common event. Now, moving on to the next activity, I want you to start thinking about the different characters that are in your story. Now, in my story, I was one of the characters. Then we had the ominous smiler. We had Sunit. Again, 20 seconds. And there's a reason why I'm telling you 20 seconds. 20 seconds, write out as many characters for those 3 stories. And actually, you know what? I'm going to give you 30 seconds this time. 30 seconds, as many characters as you can think of for each of those 3 potential stories. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now we have our characters. Now, in your list of your characters, I want you to write out another 30 seconds the emotions that they would have had. So another 30 seconds, write out the emotions that those characters would have. All right. Now, characters are very important to the story, and you want your characters to be developed as well. The reason why I had you put in the emotions of your characters is how you also flesh out your characters. They also need to feel in your stories. They also need to have emotions in your stories.
because a lot of times they are going to be on the journey with you as the protagonist, or they're going to be the antagonist. Going back to the 2019 speech, the antagonist was the ominous smiler. And the emotions that the ominous smiler had, she was weak, then she was threatening, then she was aggressive. So these emotions played out throughout the speech, and it gave it what I call emotional variety. So you want your characters to have emotional variety. If you just have a stagnant character throughout your entire presentation, they have no movement and emotion, they're going to be a very boring character, and they can be a very flat character. You want to make sure that your characters in the story have emotions as well. So we have established our story in terms of putting a basic scene. We have now the characters of story, and we have the emotions for ourselves and our other characters. So what do we do with this? In my speech, and all of my speeches actually, what I do is I start testing it out. So I'm going to ask for a couple of volunteers. Well, actually, so we may not have enough time for a couple of volunteers. I'm going to ask volunteer to give us their story as they have it right now, and make sure that you tell us about that setting, the scene, and then tell us about the character, tell us about your perspective, make sure that you go through emotions, and then make sure that make sure that they go through emotions as well. So that is your criteria. And when you are doing this, do not aim for perfection. Aim for just getting it out there, because that is the key. Sometimes we overthink about our stories. We don't need to overthink. Just let it come out naturally as you talking to a group of friends at the bar. Or if you don't go to the bar, at the park or at the water cooler, wherever you may have a conversation with your friends. Now I see, okay, Sunny says to ask Aaron. I'm assuming that you don't mean me.
LOL. So Aaron, am I going to speak a story, or should I talk about the points that you're referring to?
Talk about your story with the points that I just brought up. Try to incorporate as much as possible.
Okay. Scene was back in the old days when I was studying in secondary school. I was locked in a dark rubbish bin. I was trapped, locked, and you can hear the laughters of wicked smells of bullies looking down at you. They are happy, they are devilish, and they are definitely thrilling over the Trump overbullying. But I was lost, afraid, and really wanted to get home. That time, I was simply wondering, when will be my next exit? How can I run away from them? But life is always like that. Suddenly, there is a McDonald's staff that walked past and drive away those bullies and freed me from the cave. With a nice hamburger in his hand, he passed to me and said, "Look, you must be hungry." That warm smell, that sunny face, and most importantly, his vocal variety, his tone, just lightened me up that there's always hope in life. Maybe, yeah, I'll wrap it up like that. Is it okay?
No. Yep. So, in his story, this is the last activity that I want you to do, and then I'm going to actually give you some homework. And again, I do apologize This is an abridged version of what I originally had planned. But in his story, there were 3 different types of characters that you to mark down. So on your notes, you have a protagonist, you have an antagonist, and you have a hero. So this is one of the most common storytelling models, where you have a protagonist who is the star of your story. 9 times out of 10, if we're given a personal story, it's going to be us as a character. In my speech, it was me. Then you have the antagonist. So this is the conflict. I will say that the antagonist doesn't always have to be a person. It can be a concept. It can be something that isn't tangible. But the antagonist is another character. Then you have the hero. So this is the person who comes in and saves us or gives us the vital information that we need to overcome the antagonist. Or they come in and defeat the antagonist themselves. Now, in Aaron's story that he just presented, he had himself as the character, the antagonist. The protagonist, had the bullies as the antagonist. And I started losing you a little bit, but you did have a hero that came and drove the bullies away. So this is the basic structure that you can use for your stories. Now, what I'm going to give you for homework is something that I learned from a book called Story Worthy. This is a book by Matthew Dix. This is a very good book about storytelling. It was instrumental in me building my World Championship speech. And in that book, he has something called Homework for Life. And Homework for Life is basically every single day, you keep a journal or a diary or wherever you can use your computer, wherever you can consistently write something down every day. And one moment, one story-worthy moment in your day, just write it down. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be quick. It needs to be fast. So remember when I told you to keep doing things in 20 seconds? That should be similar to how you do Homework for Life. Don't try to make the story have a complete beginning, middle, and end. Just write it down. First thing that comes to your mind. This is the technique that I use to create my stories and build out what I call my story file. And this is something that you can do as well. Now, as you write down your Homework for Life, you can then refer back to it at a later point, and then you can start fleshing it out by doing what? By adding your scenes, by adding your characters, and by adding your emotions of the characters. When you do that, then you are ready to start testing it. I test my stories extremely fast. My World Championship speech started out as a Facebook post. Again, you don't have to make it perfect. It just needs to be out there. And you keep doing this, then you can keep getting better at telling your stories, and you will overcome the myth that you are not a good storyteller. And you will also find that stories truly are everywhere. I know it over time, but thank you everyone for having me. I'm not sure, do we have time for any Q&A?
Yes, Aaron, we have until 8:15, and then as Aaron, our other Aaron likes to say, sometimes we have the after party, but we do have at least 10 minutes for some Q&A. So I am now going to ask, first of all, will we just give a wave to Aaron, everyone? And now I will call our question master, President Tricia Grow, and you can take it from here, Tricia, and give us our instructions.
Thank you. I will go ahead and invite everyone to go ahead and ask questions in the chat. I certainly only have received one so far. I think we were all so engrossed in your knowledge and presentation, Aaron, that we were all doing your homework that everyone forgot about asking questions. So the one question I did receive, this was from a guest, Jason Lau. He wanted to know, how do you improve an ending, a conclusion of your speech to make everyone feel better? I'd like, because yours was so, we could connect with you, with you, whether we were your color or not, ever been to an Indian wedding. Like, how do you come up with an ending like that? Is I think is what he's trying to ask.
So there are many ways to answer that question. I will speak to the story ending. So with your story ending, one thing that you really want to make sure, that you have tied all loose ends. If you have any open questions by the end of the story, your audience is going to be thinking about those lingering questions instead of focusing on what it is that you have to say last. So make sure that you tie up all of the loose ends. In my speech, when I first started practicing it, I never told you how or what Brandon had to pay for the shoes. And my feedback that I was constantly getting was, well, how much did Brandon have to pay for the shoes? How much did Brandon have to pay for the shoes? So I had to make sure in my story that I closed that loop. And I had to say that Brandon paid 10 times what the shoes were worth. I just added that one line and that closed it. So make sure that you close all of those loops. Make sure that you answer all of those lingering questions. Because again, if you have a lingering question, the audience is going to be thinking about that instead of your story. And then the other thing that I want to say about a story ending, we want to make sure that we have an understanding of the differences between a story and a speech. To me, the biggest difference between a story and a speech is that a speech, 9 times out of 10, has to be explicit. You have to explicitly make it clear what your point was. Your stories, however, don't have to have an explicit message. The message can be implicit. So it can just be a moral of the story that you just understand. For instance, we look at classic stories like the Three Little Pigs, and there's no explicit message that you must work hard every single day and you must make sure that you build your houses full of bricks and blah, blah, blah. No, there's nothing that exists like that. That's why I had such a hard time trying to figure something out just to say. But the implicit message is that you just work hard and you don't have your life be all about play. So it's not explicitly said in a Three Little Pigs book, but it is implied. Now, when it comes to the World Championship of Public Speaking, and forgive me, I'm rambling on with this answer here, but when it comes to the World Championship of Public Speaking, there have only been about 3 people who have won with a speech that was just a pure story where the message was implicit. And those people that I know of are Ed Tate, one of those days. He had no explicit message to the audience. Then Randy Harvey, Lessons from Fat Dad, which was a little bit different because he gave lessons and morals in his speech, but it wasn't toward the audience. And then Ryan Avery, the 2012 world champion of public speaking. So those are the only times where a story was told and it was a implicit message. But that also goes to show you that it can be done. But just make sure that you know the difference. All right, any other questions?
Trisha, if there are no other questions, I had one more question. Trisha, is there another question before I say mine?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Why did I lose it?
Aaron.
Just want to go ask you about this intro that you did, taking a risk with the title.
Aaron Beverly, leave a lasting memory using as few words as possible and strive with every fiber of your being to avoid being the type of person who rambles on and on with no end in sight, more likely than not causing more listeners to sit and think to themselves, oh my goodness, can somebody please make this stop? Leave a lasting memory using as few words as possible and strive with every fiber of your being to avoid being the type of person who rambles on and on with no end in sight, more likely than not causing more listeners to sit and think to themselves, oh my goodness, can somebody please make this stop? Aaron Beverly.
Be honest. You enjoyed that, didn't you? Now, please do me a favor. Recite that entire title off the top of your head right now. Go. Not all at once. Wait a minute. Do you mean to tell me that you cannot remember all 57 of the words in that title? Neither can I. But do you?
Okay, I just wanted to play that because you got a lot of attention and you came in second place in 2016. Just explain a little bit about that to our audience.
Yep. With the speech title that I gave, I wanted to make sure that I was seen as being different. And even this year, I wanted to be seen as different. One of the things that I hear over the years is that there is a sameness about the World Championship of Public Speaking. And whether you believe that this is true or not, I wanted to make sure that I made a mark. And sometimes that means taking a risk. It means doing something that isn't normally done, that people would be afraid to do. I heard people wanting to do the long title in a international speech contest for ages before I actually did it. There was one person who I actually was inspired to do it from. He actually did it in a humorous speech contest, and he won his humorous speech contest. But nobody else would do it in the international speech contest scene. So I said, why not me? I'll try it, see what happens, and the rest is history. But you have to take a risk sometimes to make sure that you stand out and look different from everybody else. One of the biggest things that I did that made me seem different from everybody else was just coming out in the traditional Indian attire, while I was in a suit and a tie, or at least all the other men were. So sometimes you have to be different.
Thank you. And back to you, Trish.
I had one additional question asked by Sandra, a returning guest. She says, you had mentioned Ed Tate, Randy, and Ryan. However, you did not mention yourself. How do you see your speech that won? Do you feel that it was explicit or implicit?
Yep. So my story was definitely explicit because I had the message given explicitly at the end that sometimes we live in a world that seems divisive, but there are people who still believe in it. Do you? So I give a
I start talking to the audience directly. Now, I did practice before using an implicit message, but my message wasn't getting across to my audience. They didn't know what the message was about. They didn't know what the speech was about. I'm sorry. Since they didn't know what the speech was about, I had to say to myself, I have to make this perfectly clear. I have to make this explicit. So I couldn't leave any doubt. And we have hit the 10-minute mark.
All right. Well, on behalf of competitive communicators, Aaron, and your co-district mate, I would like to thank you very, very much for coming to the meeting. We all know that life happens and you had no control over your train. So we openly welcome you back whenever your schedule would allow. Just let myself, Aaron, or Sunny know what would work for you. You're always welcome to come back as a guest as well. But we do so much appreciate your time. Please, everyone, again, please show Aaron our appreciation. And I'll turn
Thank you, everyone.
back to our back to our Toastmaster of the day to finish up.
And my finishing up is just, again, thank you, Aaron Beverly, for sharing your information. I'm definitely going to watch the replay so that I can get even some better tips about a story that I actually have in my head. And knowing that there are characters and antagonists and protagonists and that there's some emotional variety, I'm going to see what I can come up with, and I'll have to get back to you on that. So thanks for sharing your tips. We all want to be better storytellers. When I interviewed you a few months ago, I said something by someone who quoted Miss Duarte, that she said that stories are the emotional glue that connect your message to the audience. And definitely your story, your message was a connection to many people, because at the end of the day, there are more things that keep us together than apart. So when we start understanding that, we can also write better stories and find better quality stories. So we want you to help us come back again next season, if you can. And for that, at this point, Trisha, would you just close out? I don't know if you want to ask any of our guests a question before you leave, but I've had a good time. And you definitely challenged me and Trisha and a couple of others on our leadership and on our role taking, because we were figuring out, what are we going to do for the first 40 minutes? But we made it happen, because that's what Toastmasters do. So again, back to you, Trisha. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate everyone on our team. Our club is amazing. We all pulled together. We came up with different ideas of what we were going to do to fill the time, because everyone was unavoidably detained. And I thought that we had an amazing meeting. I would like to ask some of our guests, hopefully they also enjoyed tonight's meeting. I would like to start with Angela Lee. Would you like to share your thoughts on tonight's meeting? Did you enjoy it? There's a mute button on the bottom left-hand